Hi, I'm Emily, this is First Person Science, and today you're going to learn something. So today I felt like talking about parasites. I feel like this is the perfect game for talking about parasites because at a certain point you encounter these weird wormy deals that attach themselves to like your head and make you do things that you don't really want to do, such as walk in bad directions and other such activities. Basically, I just want to talk about the difference between parasites and these things called parasitoids, which upon my first attempt at playing this game, I decided to look up like if there are other kinds of parasites. And I started doing more and more research, and I started learning more and more things, and I learned there are so many different kinds of parasites. I thought I would make a video about it. Basically, there are two kinds of basic parasites. I said basically twice, didn't I? Sorry. There's ectoparasites, which are things that live on the outside of the host's body. So those are things like ticks, fleas, leeches, lice, basically my favorite things in the world. And then there are endoparasites, which end up inside of the host's body. And then within endoparasites, there are two types. There's intercellular, not to be confused with interstellar. That one has Matthew McConaughey, and this one has, enterotoxigenic Escherichia coli, which is significantly less charming and just as difficult to spell. So intercellular, those parasites, they are inside of the spaces in the host body, so they're not in the cells per se, but they are still inside of the body. And then there's intracellular, so those are actually inside of the cells. Those ones are like bacteria and viruses, so things like malaria, And those ones require a third party to bring it into the host body. So like malaria, for example, bringing that one back, is brought into the host body through mosquitoes. That's like the most common transmitter of malaria. That's the third party carrier in this situation. So then there's something called brood parasitism, and that's very uncommon. It's practiced by cuckoos and cowbirds, everyone's favorite daily thing that they come across every single day. So sort of like parasitism, but also sort of not, because it doesn't really involve like a bacteria and it doesn't really harm anything. It's just sort of weird. So these birds don't build their own nests. They just sort of leave their eggs at another bird's nest and hope that that bird will raise the eggs as their own. It's just sort of like, it's the equivalent of leaving your child on like a church doorstep. Parasitism doesn't really harm the host or like the host's children, but like the bird that leaves its eggs behind might get rid of one of the host's eggs just to like not draw any suspicion. Because like otherwise there would be an extra egg and it would be really awkward. Like I don't remember giving birth to like 6 children. The bird, not me. I didn't give birth to 6 children either. So that's brood parasitism. So then there's something called hyperparasitism. That's when a parasite becomes parasitized. Like, let's say there's a protozoan, that's the hyperparasite living in the digestive tract of a flea. That's the parasite that lives on a dog. It's like, again, throwing it back to movie references, that's similar to the plot of the movie Inception. Except instead of dreams, it's parasites. So I know everyone has taken like high school biology classes where they talk about like different kinds of symbiotic relationships and stuff. And everyone has seen like Finding Nemo, where you see that one fish that has a little tiny fish around it. I'm going off script right now. I just want to say that, so I'm just want to talk about Finding Nemo. There are relationships where, the host will benefit from the presence of a parasite, and the parasite will obviously benefit from being on the host, whether that's through like gaining food or shelter or whatever, or just they found a really cool host. But there are also relationships where the host is neither harmed nor helped. They're just sort of there. Like the host is just a house for the parasite. So the parasite gets all the benefit and the host does all the work. The host isn't necessarily negatively affected, but they're definitely not helped by the presence of the parasite. And then moving down from there, this is something that's less often seen. You've got relationships where the host is completely negatively affected by the presence of the parasite. And that's where we get something called parasitoidism, which is just a lot of endings. Anyways, parasitoidism is defined as a relationship in which the parasite always kills the host. They're very specific about that always. Parasitoidism occurs in ants, wasps, and bees, flies, butterflies, and moths. So in those species, the female will lay her eggs in the host. Those eggs will hatch, develop into larvae, and then those larvae will feed on the host. So this relationship continues to exist until the larvae have matured, at which point the larvae straight up kill the host. They will sterilize it or kill it, and sometimes they'll just eat it. They will eat the entire host. Do ants hatch from eggs? I don't think so. Let's pretend they do, because this definition is talking about eggs, and I'm not really sure. Let's say a female ant lays an egg on a cow. Let's go with a cow. Sure. I didn't look up any examples of this relationship because I'm a terrible scientist, but let's say an ant lays an egg on a cow. Let's say that. Let's pretend that will happen. So that ant egg hatches and becomes, a baby ant, at which point the baby ant will grow up and mature and feast on the cow upon which it lives. It's like if, when you were a kid, you just decided, I'm gonna eat my house. That would be weird. So this imaginary egg ant eats the imaginary cow and kills it. That's parasitoidism. The reason that I chose limbo for this game is because, as you can tell, this deal, I'm pointing to the worm on top of this child's head, it really likes to kill the kid. I'm not bad at games, it's parasitoidism. Just so happens that we are watching nature occur, and this parasitoid has laid a larva on my head, and it's feasting upon my brains in this game, and that's why I keep drowning, because the parasitoid is killing the host. That's what's happening. It's not me being stupid. I just want that to be clear. Anyways, I just think it's really interesting. I think it's a really interesting distinction between parasites and parasitoids, how one will just completely decimate the host and the other can actually have a beneficial relationship. And you see these things up here, I'm pretty sure they will actually take the parasitoid off of the kid's head, but I don't really remember how this game goes. The light will turn you around and make you point in another direction, and then I think, oh, here we go, and then I can climb up on top of the box, and yep, he takes the parasitoid off of my head, and now I can be good at this game again. You've all seen in the last few minutes, I am incredible at this game. I'm just so good at this. I'm so good at talking. I'm so good at reading my notes before I make a video. I'm so good at scaring weird frog puppies out of the way. I am just great. I hope you learned something today. Bye.
Okay then, that's it for another episode of First Person Science. Tell us what you think in the comments down below, and don't forget to like, share and subscribe.